So hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us. The Alliance has been working hard this year via the new business liaison role to build relationships with our business members and make sure that they're getting the support they need from us. And one of the themes of need we had heard about through the year was related to social media. We are very lucky to have 10 Touch Creative, led by Fran Grossbeck, here in Bradley Beach. In working with Fran, we plan to develop a bit of an online marketing curriculum, be a combination of materials and videos that will continue to roll out through the course of the year and hopefully reactive to what we're hearing from the businesses in terms of what they would like information on. So without further ado, I'll hand over to Fran with great gratitude for all the work that you put into this. So thanks very much, Fran.
Thanks, Kelly. I would ask if you're not speaking, if you can mute your mic in case we get feedback, just for the purpose of the recording. And when we get ready to go, you can open up your mic because there'll be time to ask questions later in the event. So welcome and thank you to Paula and Kelly for this opportunity to share this information with the Alliance. And we're recording this right now so that more businesses who have these busy schedules and can't always access this, but we know we're asking for it, can get access to this information. And today we're talking about simplifying social, how to make social media work for you and your business. So first, I'd like to introduce you to 10 Touch Creative. We are a creative business strategy and development firm with a passion and focus on the power of marketing to propel business growth. We help businesses grow with a personal touch because, in my opinion, it's all personal. I'm not a big believer in the saying it's not personal, it's business, because it's all personal. It's what we each bring to our businesses that makes them different and unique. Who we are, what we value, what we feel is important in life, it comes through in our businesses. So at 10 Touch Creative, we help you find professional success doing what you love. At 10 Touch Creative, we help business owners find that path and reignite their passion through our program, Adapt and Flow. Adapt and Flow is based on two principles. First, we can do anything, but we can't do everything. When we hit an obstacle, we have to take a look and see how we can adapt. If I can, I will. If I can't, I will adapt. I will tell you a quick little story that's inspired by my father. I wasn't allowed to say the word can't growing up. If I walked in and said to my dad, "Hey, Dad, I can't do whatever it may be," he wouldn't even acknowledge my presence in the room. And I would roll my eyes and go, "Okay, Dad, I'm not able to do this, but I can." And I'd have to come up with solutions and fill in the blanks of how I could navigate the challenges I was facing, whether it was mowing the lawn or otherwise. And it really stuck with me all my life that there really isn't a can't. There's just different ways to adapt. So Adapt and Flow help you navigate any change you face in reaching your goals. And we'll talk about flow a little later. We work with our clients through 4 key phases. That would be strategy, where you are and where you want to go, planning, how you get there, connection, how to connect with past, present, and future audiences, and then growth, living the plans for your business growth. Now, we're not going to talk about the 4 stages here, but in order to do good social media planning, you do have to do a few things that come from the elements of strategy and planning in the Adapt and Flow process. So to get started, you should know your goals. What do you want to get out of your social media engagement? And what actions do you want your audience to take? Who is the audience? Paint a picture for yourself. Who is this person? Because it will help you know how to create the content, how you're going to talk to them. What do they want to hear? And the most important question of all for your customer, what's in it for them? Time map. So time map is something we have. It's a special process we do internally as part of the planning process of Adapt and Flow. And it's to look realistically at how much time you have to dedicate to the different components of your goals. So in case of social media, how much time do you really have to dedicate to this? Do you have a person or an agency helping you, or is this all on you? Next is your style guide. Style guides do not have to be complicated. They are simple lists of fonts, colors, and general images that represent the voice and tone of your company. Are you fun and whimsical? Are you calming and renewing? Are you professional and corporate? There is no wrong answer. And then the last, and this is super important, and it touches on something we'll talk about in the planning stage, logos, images, photos, all ready to use, all in the correct size and formats. We've all seen those posts where something's pixelated, it's too small, it's too big, there's something wrong, and everything in your visual elements are critical to a successful social media campaign, because the visual, as much as the words, create the connection or the disconnection with your audience. These little breaks force the brain. There's science behind all of this. We're not just here to make things look pretty. There's real science behind all these disconnections cause the brain to focus on the wrong thing. We want them to focus on your message. So taking a little bit of time to make sure all these tools are in place will save you a lot and help you better in your analytics. So in connection, which is the third part of Adapt and Flow, again, it's strategy, planning, and connection. There's 4 cornerstones: the website, your authority piece, newsletters, and social media. And I'm listing them here in the order of importance. And the website is your foundation. This is your special space to explain who you are and why you do what you do. And you get the customer all to yourself on that space. So that's why everything else you do below should be driving to your website. Your authority piece, these are pieces of information that you share to show your knowledge and illustrate why you stand apart from the rest. What makes you special? What makes you unique? What makes you the person that this audience should trust? This is a big trust builder, your authority piece. Authority pieces can be done in a lot of different ways, and that we can talk about it another time. Your newsletter is it allows you to connect with your existing customers, reminding them that you're there and what you can do for them. There's a lot of noise out there. Social media, websites, newsletters, ads, even all the streaming media platforms now on your TV have ads. This newsletter helps you stay connected. And even if it's past customers, remember, they still need to be reminded that you're there. And you want to keep your company at the forefront of their mind. The final step is that social media, and social media is a gateway. We call it micro content because it's an introduction to who you are. You can't expect a single social media post or even a series of posts to truly be the be all end all of connecting with your customer. It's a gateway. They're meant to grab your audience's attention and then drive them to your website where you get them all by yourself and get to talk to them and get to engage with them and hopefully get them to take the action that you want them to take, whether it's buy a product or schedule a service. Each one builds on the other, and we call them cornerstones because you can't have one without the other. Those are the 4 critical cornerstones of making true power in connection. So we're going to focus on social media today. And they're simple guidelines to follow, and these simple guidelines do apply to majority of the stages of Adapt and Flow. But you're going to start simple. Often we get blinded by the ultimate vision. We want to connect with X number of people. We want to be everywhere. We want to do all these things. We can see us having videos on TikTok. We can see our Pinterest boards. We can see our ads on Google Business. But depending on your resources, again, going back to the strategy and planning phases, what's realistic? And starting simple often is the best place to start. Slow is smooth and smooth is fast. If you go slow and you start nice and simple, you're not going to burn out. You're going to find that pace to keep this habit, make it a habit, make it a real part of your business, and really grow your presence on social media. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. This is one of my favorite ones in marketing and business strategy overall, but it really applies to social. Just because you can be on TikTok, just because you can be on Pinterest, just because you can right now sign up and be on 12 different platforms does not mean you should. And just because your competition is doing it or someone else is doing it doesn't mean it's right for you. So always stick with what's right for you. And the last simple guideline, the time to start is now. There will never be a perfect time. You will never have everything, all your ducks in a row and everything ready to go. If social media is something that you have been either lacking in or not being consistent in, time to start or restart is right now. So let's get social. Every step you take now to set up the process will make this easier and save you money. So we're going to send a special checklist, and I'll talk about that at the end. There's a lot of steps here. Don't get overwhelmed by them. When you see the summary at the end, you'll realize just how simple this really is to get social. There are 3 critical steps. You're going to plan, you're going to create, and you're going to schedule. And the planning goes a long way. It's like the difference. I'm going to ask your forgiveness. My background is in the world of housewares. I have been in product development of cookware and bakeware for a long part of my career. I helped a lot of companies grow that were in that realm. And I'm going to equate planning to the difference between planning a 30-minute meal and a full-on family dinner. You get out of it what you put into it, right? So if it's a 30-minute meal, you're throwing things together. You might be the master of 30-minute meals, but most of us, it's going to just be something that's edible and able to eat. But for a really good dinner, those big sit-down family dinners, you're planning that out. You're going to plan the ingredients, where you're going to shop, when you're going to shop, when you're going to start cooking. Heck, in Thanksgiving, I even know my sister plans it down to which device in her kitchen is going to do which part of the cooking. And the same goes here. Putting a little time into that planning makes for a whole different experience and a better return on your investment. The first part of your plan is called a content library. People hear the word content all the time. Content marketing, content library, what are these things? Content library is as simple as a single folder on your computer that has all of the critical things you'll need to create content for your website, for your social media, for everything in it, for your authority pieces, for your newsletters. You're going to have in there your logos and pictures and stock photography. You're going to have documents with shared knowledge. So it's going to be this one folder for all of these things. And if you're like most of us, you have pictures on your phone, you have pictures on your computer. If you have a separate computer for your personal and your work, you have pictures on each. You have content on each. You might have some on a tablet. So the key here is to get them all in one place. This simplifies the process when you go to create content. And there's ways to really even further expand the content library. We're not going to worry about that right now. Right now, your first step is just to make it happen. If you have a content library already started, then what the next steps would be to break it out into some of the planning stages we see later. First step, though, just get that centralized folder where you have all this content ready to go. If you have multiple people adding to the folder, so say you have a team and they're taking pictures on their phone, or they have stock photography they want to contribute, or they write content for your different platforms. One suggestion I make is that you have a single folder where they put that content for you to vet. This is your business, and you want to make sure that you're taking a look at what is being ready to share and that there isn't anything that would break that tone and voice or make sure that it sets the tone and voice that you want to represent for your company. Next in the planning phase is deciding on frequency. So in social media, you want to keep a consistent presence. You know yourself in scrolling. If you ever scroll on Facebook or Instagram and then go back to the top, all of a sudden it refreshes and there's 20 new posts, sometimes even more than that, depending on how many people you're connected with. So you have to decide how often you want to post. We recommend a minimum of twice a week. But how often you want to post is also determined by how realistically you can sit down and plan these posts. So committing to this frequency is the first step in building consistency, which is how you build your audience. Because if you keep a regular presence on social, they will continue to see you pop up, and that's how you stay in the front of your customers' minds. Now, whether you're doing this yourself or working with an agency, you still need to carve out time to work on this. So whether it's in reviewing posts or sharing new content and plans, you are the critical part of the business. Nobody knows your business like you. And carving out a little bit of time to take a look at what that agency is doing or the person in your company is doing for your business is really important to keep that messaging correct and to keep it growing. So where are your customers? Now you're going to pick your platforms. In this part of the planning, you take a look and you look at who your customers are. Are they B2B? Are you a B2B company or B2C? So if you're B2B, LinkedIn's top of your list. Probably going to do Facebook ads, a Facebook business page in there as well, and throw in Google My Business. But your B2C, you're gonna be Facebook, you're gonna be Insta, and you don't have to be everywhere at once. Remember what we talked about earlier to keep it simple. Where are you currently? Do you already have profiles set up for your business, not your individual, but for your business on these platforms? That's a time saver. If the profile's already created, you're ready to go. And do you have the resources to dedicate to this platform? I'm going to bring up TikTok again. TikTok is a phenomenal platform, but do you have the time and resources to create consistent videos to stay fresh on TikTok? Or are you going to be posting once and then silent for 6 weeks and then try again and put 2 videos up? TikTok requires a commitment. Do you have that time? Or is that something that needs to kind of be put a pin in for the future? There's no right or wrong here. Only decisions with different consequences. So what's right and realistic for you? Now, this is where you take a look at again, we're going back to that word realistic. What's realistic for you? What's your best time of day to be creative? If you're going to be doing this yourself, or if you have a team member who's doing this is advice that you can give to them, especially if you haven't found that consistent pattern with working on your social media plan. So are you a morning person, or do you prefer, evenings when email and phones quiet down? Do you have a favorite day? Are you that Monday morning ready to go kind of person, or are you, thank God it's Friday, and kind of feel the pressure of the week off of you and you're ready to create? What kind of time do you need? Are you a naturally creative person and love to do this, and you could do 12 posts in under an hour? Or does it take a little more time to you and you want to sit down and think about your whole plan for your business? So you're going to carve 2 hours out that month. Pick a day, pick the time, pick the duration, and schedule it in your calendar. Keep that promise to yourself to this new habit. Repeat this for at least a year. And I know people want those 30 days to this solution. To create a consistent habit of this size and this importance to your business, you have to commit to it for at least a year. So one of the final parts of the planning stage is to turn your goals into what we call buckets. Buckets are simply categories of information that have a common thread that will help you get to your goal. So we have the most common ones are about us. That's where you share your company information, history of your company, the people on your team, and that's where the personal side of your business comes through. Products or services is another common bucket, what you're offering. And here is where you can get into that buy now and selling. And this is where hard sell and soft sell happens. Events and information is timely information on your company. Are you participating in events where people could come see you? Is there new information you want to share? Again, not a product or service necessarily, but more of, have you moved offices? Have you moved locations? Have you added a staff member? Press releases, other different kind of information. Share your knowledge. The last bucket, that's your authority piece. This is what sets you apart. You might share tips, tricks, how-tos, know-how on the expertise that helps set you apart from others and help set the tone for who your audience is, who you're looking to connect with. Again, wherever you share knowledge, that's your trust builder. So now you've done all these planning steps. You've done all this work, and you're going to put it all together and plan out your first month. And while posting, when you're inspired to do so, can be great, and sharing key moments in your audience, you can still do that. But setting a plan, brainstorming the topics to reflect your goals, and then scheduling them ahead of time will remove a lot of the frustration out of a good social media plan, and more importantly, will improve its effectiveness. So now we've done all this planning. We have a good, clear first month plan of what we want to do. We want to do X number of posts about us. We want to do 1 or 2 posts about some events coming up. We want to share 2 posts on sharing our knowledge. And we're going to do 4 posts on our products and services. So we have, and for the About Us, it would be 2 posts. There's 12 posts right there. So we know what we want to do. We've picked our topic for the month, and now we're ready to set up our first month of posts. The next 2 steps you can do in either order. Some people like to do the graphics first. So that's what's here. You're going to select your design or your graphic. You're going to create the images that are right sized for the platforms you've selected. For example, that center image, which is the Adobe Express logo, that's a 1080 by 1080 image. That's the standard for most social platforms. But now Instagram does have a landscape platform, and then you also have stories and reels. So you have to know which size you're designing for and make sure you design accordingly. You're going to tie the elements and design styles from your style guide in here, and you're going to create graphics that go along with the planned posts. You'll pull images and contents from your content library, and you can use software like Adobe Express or Canva to create these graphics. I will tell you, I use both for different purposes, and I find them both super user-friendly. You do not, and Canva has a free version that has excellent capabilities for someone just starting out. So they're both really highly recommended graphic software platforms for someone who wants to get control of their social. So here is an example of 5 planned posts. Took them from my own library. So the first one, which talks about vision, value, and story, that's a soft sell. So I'm talking here about that what we can do, but I'm not pushing the sale of doing that particular consultation. The next 2 on account-based marketing and branding strategy, I do have a call to action, which is to contact us today. And in the content of that post, my team knows we're going to create the right links to get the customer, the visitor, to our website. The bottom 2 are examples of that sharing our knowledge. So do people understand the importance of how fast your website loads is to the user experience? We talk a lot about UI, UX now. Well, user experience is really important. And if your website is slow to load, it can cost you valuable customers. And this article explained how. Do you know the right questions and being asked to engage with a new client? So here's just some samples of the images. You'll notice that there's a consistent tone of a muted beige running throughout. There's strategic use of fonts depending on the strength of the message we want to send. Is it bold? Is it not bold? These are all considerations made. The placement of graphics, the placement of text. Is there breathing space? Is there white space or beige space in my case? And this is just one example of what you can do in those platforms like Canva and Adobe Express. Now you've got your graphics, and I do it typically actually in the reverse of how I'm showing it. I usually write the text and then create the graphics. But you could do it either way. And the next is you're going to write the text. You're going to write the text for that post. You do need to be aware of a few things. First is each platform has different character requirements. X, aka Twitter, has a much shorter allowance. Facebook and Instagram have opened up their platforms a little bit. But you also have to remember social is your micro content, so you're not writing 10 paragraphs in these social posts. Be aware of proper spelling, punctuation, language. Being colloquial is okay, but proper grammar and spelling is still important to create and build connection. Remember, you're speaking to a broad audience on these platforms. Facebook and Instagram will cover just about every generation. Facebook has been the millennial and up, and Instagram is millennial and below, even though we all generations are on both, but that's been the device. You really cover every generation out there, so you have to be aware of those things when you're writing and creating content. Some extras that you can consider in social to help further grow and enhance your plan: hashtags. This is a great way to plan your hashtags along with profile linking. So profile linking is where you are going to tag other businesses or related people who will then pull their audience into your and suggest your content to them. So that's a really powerful, free way to expand your audience. Holidays and fun holidays. I love fun holidays. There are so many websites for holidays out there. So I'm going to use the cooking reference again. Is today Pancake Day? Is there ice cream day? And there is a day for every food you can think of. Does it apply to your restaurant? Do you have a business about candles? Should you talk about, is there something that relates to your business that is a fun topic, but still can help bring back to your business? These are fun, easy posts to make. And if you have that kind of tone and voice in your business where you want to have a little fun, it's a great way to expand an easy way to expand your social plan and not have to worry about creating a lot of content. Some cautions. I've seen these things too many times when we have clients come to us for us to take over the social. Too much text in a small space, and I'm referring to the graphics. Whereas if you put a lot of text in the graphic, now when you're planning the graphic on your screen, I have 32-inch screens I work on. I'm going to read it just fine. Someone's looking at it. You have to always remember that most people, 75% of the time, are looking at it on their phone. So can they read that? If they can't read it, you should really be putting the majority of your text in the body of the content. Beware of pixelated images. That is a big no-no. Watch for formatting, things that if you didn't create the right size, you go to put it on social and it gets cut off. You see that a lot on Instagram. And then fonts, use them strategically. They are important. Serif versus sans serif. Serif are the ones with the lovely little tails like Times New Roman, and then sans serif are the ones that are nice and clean, like the ones you see here on this screen. Handwriting, like the one I use in my logo, they're picked intentionally. So be aware of them and use them strategically. The final stage is you're going to schedule all this content. You're going to pick a planner. Facebook and Instagram offers you Meta Planner for free. And it's a great way to make sure that this process is nice and simple for you. On the top of this slide, you'll see a snapshot from our 10-Touch Planner. We have built with a cloud-based system our own social media planner. What we love about this is the clients that we work with in social media, they get to have access to this. They can see their posts when we work on them. If we're doing it for you, you can also do it yourself and then have us as your support team if you run into problems. We do onboarding with this. It's a really great tool. One of the things I love about a good planner is that your inbox is all in one place. So we can come in here and check every day what comments have been made on our posts, whether it's Facebook, whether it's Instagram, all the different places we post. We get to see all those comments in one place, and that saves a lot of time and helps with reputation management, which we'll talk about in a second. When you use a planner, make sure that planner has some easy to use features. So here you'll see first the little smiley face under so the big white box is where you would type your content. Smiley face are your emojis. The next box, I'm not sure if you can see my arrow, but this box, it looks like a little checklist or a hamburger list. You can actually switch that on in the 10-Touch Planner, and you can create content by platform, and it'll help you check that you have the right characters and accepted content for each platform. Hashtags, of course, that we talked about, and most planners nowadays and a lot of tools have some form of AI. What I love about this one is that it has this caption AI, and it gives you suggestions and really help you get started if text is not your strong point. Then there's a way to add photos, video, or links. And the last part, those tags, those are your buckets. And by adding tags to your posts, when you go into your analytics later in the month or when you do your checks every quarter, you can see which buckets are working the best and which ones might need a little help. Once you're on social, don't forget to make the flow to all your key cornerstones of connection. So did your social posts have links to send them back to the website? Do you have a link tree or a link in your Instagram to get them where you need them to go? Are the links in Facebook? Did you link in TikTok? Does your newsletter this month reflect the messages you're sharing on social? Do you have an authority piece published that you can then also that you promoted in social? Did you make sure that there's a social post about that authority piece? And does the website have everything you need ready to go for that customer to take action once they get there and contact you or buy your products? And this is the last part of Adapt and Flow. This is the growth stage. This is where you're going to take a look and you're going to check your analytics And this doesn't have to be a deep dive. Should not take you a week. You're going to keep doing what's working. You're going to rework what is not. You're going to be flexible. You're going to be yourself, and you're going to really stand by what you want to be, what your company, what your business wants to be. Now, we've said all of this. There was a lot of slides and a lot of information. Once you get the planning part done, this is all you have to do each month. Once that content library is set up, once you know what your buckets are, once you have all those planning stages done, each month you just have to stick to that time that you picked for yourself, set the plan, sit down and do it, create the graphics, create the message, and schedule. Rinse and repeat. It becomes this amazing, beautiful monthly habit, and suddenly social is not this overwhelming, complicated process, and your best message is getting out there. Saves you a lot of time and money. As a freebie and a thank you to the Alliance for doing this, we're going to send you a checklist, a free checklist of all that you saw here today to help you. One side will be planning and one side will be the create and schedule. And if you ever have questions, I am here. I am a business liaison. I'm a marketing liaison or business strategy liaison for the Alliance. So I'm happy to help anyone in the Alliance who has questions. We do have some things that could help you work through this. We have a consultation program where we work through the 4 stages of Adapt and Flow. You could also just go through a 3-session consultation on a specific stage if you feel connection is the place you need the most help, or it's strategy to define your goals and your purpose, promise, and principles, whatever it may be. We do offer that social media planner, and we'll have more information to share on how that works. And if you don't have a website, we have a great new offering of some affordable website packages, whether it's a refresh or just to get a presence. A lot of people still have a Facebook business page only, but a presence on the web is a good place to be. So my final thoughts are this. Take a look at, when it comes to social, what are your challenges and how can you adapt? How do you narrow down the social media strategy so it'll be effective and efficient as possible? You don't have to be on every platform, and you want to build content that's valuable. Specific instructions on how to put that strategy into action, and I'll share that in the plan, but make your own checklist. Has what's right and best for you. And how do you understand your demographic with your customers? So there's different things we can do here, and kind of leading into some questions I've already asked me, but so right now I'm going to pause and see if there's any questions. And you can come off mute or you can send them in chat.
And maybe to prime the questions. Thank you so much for that, Fran. That was really useful, practical, but also simple. And I love anything simple. That's really helpful. We had asked some of the Bradley Beach businesses for what their questions might be on this topic. So maybe we'll run through some of those. And we do have a couple other attendees live. If you guys, if this triggers you for any kind of questions, just jump in, like Fran mentioned, at any time. So in no particular order, Fran, you talked about all these different platforms, how to narrow down a social media strategy so it's effective, as efficient as possible, how to make that decision on which platform to be on.
It's a great question. So the big 3 right now are LinkedIn for business to business and Facebook and Instagram for B2C. From there, and it's so simple to be on those 3. Doesn't require a lot. They don't have a lot of restrictions other than the Instagram linking restriction. There's it's easy, and you cover a lot of your market. Now, remember, just because you cover a lot of the market by being, say, for example, on Facebook and Instagram, doesn't mean you're going to instantly overnight have 1 million followers. Being on Facebook and Instagram just gives you the greatest chance of connecting with more. The bigger thing with the rest is, do you have the time to invest? So if you believe that TikTok is, if you have a business that is targeting millennials and Gen Zers, specifically Gen Zers, or it could be, let's say it's a Gen Z product and you know that explaining the product would really be to your advantage, and you could see the series of videos that explains the product. That could be all well and good. Do you have the time to create those videos? Because one of the problems with TikTok is if you have to be present on it constantly, you cannot have a break. You have some of those TikTokers post multiple times a day. So you really have to be committed to that as your presence. There is a minimum that still creates a good presence, but you can't do one post and expect one video and think it's going to get out there. There is a significant Pinterest, the same thing. Pinterest, you have to keep building those boards and building that connection. So while you can also hone in your demographic by what you're tagging, the different tools that you use in the post to then target your specific audience. So all these platforms can help you reach your audiences. The biggest line though is, are you B2B or B2C? I see a lot of businesses who don't go on, who are B2B, they're business to business, and they're not on LinkedIn. And LinkedIn has some really powerful features like the LinkedIn newsletter. You could build a newsletter on LinkedIn. You don't need MailChimp or Constant Contact, and it drives back to your website. Like there's great business to business features right in LinkedIn. So it's as much as it is about the platforms and who they reach, it's also about how much time you can commit to it.
Perfect. And you kind of touched on this in your answer, but one of the other questions was how to understand my business's demographic. Which platform will reach most and how to develop content that targets and connects with them. So if you're a restaurant in Bradley, how would you know what kind of demographic you might have?
So the best way, all parts of figuring out your business strategy and your plans, is you paint a picture. You paint a picture of who your audience is. Who is the audience you want to reach? And I say all this, if you notice, everything we've talked about, I haven't brought in competition. I don't talk about looking at what other people are doing, because that comes later. Your most important tool is to know who you want to reach. Literally what I do, I paint a picture down to the clothes, where they shop, who they are. I create this image of who I'm trying to reach. I'll give you an example. It's an example of what not to do, but I think everyone who on the call may remember, I think it was either the summer before last, the restaurant in, I think it was Red Bank, who put out this new edict of they will not let kids into their restaurant anymore. They knew that early on that they wanted to be there for couples who are going out on date night. And doesn't that sound a lot more positive than putting on social no kids allowed? Like, so it's okay if you want to cater to couples on date night. Totally fine. That's your business. Your right to want to give parents a night out. But then that's the picture you paint. So once you know that, that helps your messaging. I want to cater to people who have never tried Japanese food before. That's different than I want to be the sushi restaurant for, I want to cater to having big parties. That's another thing. Do I want to cater to the intimate or to the bigger events? All of these things help you drive your message. We can't be all things to everyone. We want to be the right things to the right people. So paint that picture of that person or people. Maybe you want people, maybe you have, maybe you are multilingual and you want to attract multilingual customers. Write your content that way. So there's this, maybe you want only women, maybe you're a spa who wants to help moms decompress. So it's literally painting a picture of who your target audience is. And it's okay if your target audience is a niche. Niche businesses succeed all the time. So that when it's a demographic, I say a lot, paint a picture.
Very good. Excellent. And one other question that we got was, and you also alluded to this during your presentation, that some businesses may have engaged with a third party. So if they have engaged someone to do their social media, what should they ask them for? What should they expect? They're trying to get a little, I think, guidance on how to manage that relationship and make sure they're getting the best thing out of it.
Make sure that the first things is I would make sure that you feel comfortable that that agency understands who you are and why you're here. Your why is everything in all you're going to do on connection, especially on social, because you only have that micro moment to connect. Think about how fast kids scroll. And make sure that you feel that you're that inner knowing that you have is like, yep, they get me. And you're not just part of a cookie cutter process of they pump out X number of posts and you get this and you get that and then you're done. Confirm your frequency. That's a big one. Make sure you know how many times. Make sure you own the profile. Do not let them host the profile on their site. You own the profile and then you give them access to post on that profile. And this goes, we could do one on domains too. We talk about this for websites too. Don't let someone else own your domain. You can have someone else host your site, but don't let them own your domain. So you want to make sure that they know you, the frequency, and what is the process of creating an approval? Will they send it? Will they let you approve the content? Do they not let you approve the content? I actually do know agencies that don't let the client approve the content. I'm not a believer in that. We do have guidelines. We ask that the content is approved by X date, and if it's not, it goes live. But remember, even when it goes live, we're planning the next month. Actually, we plan a quarter at a time. So if the client comes back a few days later and says, oh, I want to change this post, we usually have the time and the power to do that, but we still keep our processes and our systems going. Those would be the top three for me, because you don't want to just be another cog in the wheel of the pumping out posts. Your business, who you are, why you do what you do is critical to that social message reaching your audience. And are they just using the same template and throwing your message on there, or are they really creating social for you?
Perfect. Great. Thank you, Fran. That makes a lot of sense. For the other folks who are on the Zoom today, any comments, questions, anything? No, hearing none.
Then
No
I'm just gonna
questions,
wrap-
but good content.
Wonderful. And I just want to thank you all for your time. At any time, I offer a free consultation to talk about what your business needs in that adapt and flow process. So contact me anytime. My email is simple. And I thank you and Paula again for this opportunity.
Well, I just wanted to thank you, but I also want to thank Megan for being on from Lash and Grow. She's expanded it. We've all seen that on Main Street, and Jennifer Brodsky, who's making things happen behind the scenes on Super Tech Hero. So glad to have you here. And as Fran promised, you'll get all the materials. So hopefully this has been helpful to you. We want to try to do things that support you and respond to your needs. So good luck and God bless.
Thank you. Yeah, I've just started dabbling into social media a little bit harder. I realized I had to do a little bit better with that. So I have been learning a little bit along the way, but we the last like maybe month since we moved, we've been doing pretty good with social media. So I want to like give the girls a nice, I'm like, everybody better start posting. It is very, very important though. So
Yeah, particularly for your target audience who, you know, have that as their way of doing business. So that's great. Now,
yeah, I did hire out for someone to help with that, because like you said, it's very hard for me to come up with the content myself. I do give the ideas to her. She does throw them back my way, like as the approval. But yeah, it was too much for me to like run it, do everything behind the scenes, open the new business and have the content and have it twice a week at least. Like you said, it's a lot of work. It's like a whole nother job.
That realization that, you know, a lot of business owners don't want to let go of any component of the business for you to recognize that you need, and the fact that you said you're still involved, because that's
Yeah.
the other extreme. I always talk, there's always these two extremes in any situation, right? There's those that won't let go of the control and they think that they have the time to fit this in. And then there's those that just say, oh, I hired you, you should create it, but you have to stay involved. You're
Yeah, you do.
it's your business. But I that's fantastic. And it sounds like you're off to a great start. So that's awesome.
There is different times of day I learned too, like specific days of the week that's better for posting, different times of day.
Absolutely. And that's one of the things that a good planner does. So planners track the activity of your target audience. So for example, we build and run a direct to consumer website for kitchen and housewares products. And Saturdays and Sunday mornings are the best time to be selling on social for those kind of products. It's when, and for whatever reason, the science is that those people are looking for those products at the time. But a good planner, which I'm sure your person uses, helps them identify where your market and what your times are. So yeah,
Jen, did you have something?
Yeah, I've been, Fran, I'm gonna what's the word that I'm looking for? I can't find the phrase that I'm looking for. So I've been delving into looking into LinkedIn. A lot of my business is B2B. Not looking to do Instagram or Facebook yet, just starting to plan tackling LinkedIn. So you and I could definitely chat about that more. But I think it's like a world in and of itself. And I'm not sure that like twice a day or twice a week is necessarily the LinkedIn cadence. The algorithm looks very different. I'm not really sure when I should be posting for my personal or when I should be posting for my business because I am my own business owner. Or what combination of the two. I do know that my call to action, the conversion that I'm looking for, is for people to book a consultation.
Jen, I love all of this. And the fact that you have a clear call to action and a single call to action, you're light years ahead. One of the biggest issues we always have to fix is having 3, 4, 10 calls to action. One. You could change the wording. It could be book a call, schedule a consultation. It could be different words, but it should be the same action. You confuse them, you lose them. It's like, by the way, that's number one rule in anything to do in marketing. If you confuse, you lose. But I love what you said about LinkedIn. And there's both a way and a line between sharing on personal on LinkedIn, because it is something that people on LinkedIn can get quickly upset about if you go too personal. We see LinkedIn, for those of us who have been on it from the very beginning, it's like our sacred space of where you don't have to see all that stuff that you see on Facebook and Instagram. And to your point, one time a week could be good enough on LinkedIn, but maybe use different tools. Maybe use the LinkedIn newsletter. Maybe there's something else that better drives your message on that platform. So LinkedIn is kind of its own animal, and there's a lot of different, we could do a whole thing just on LinkedIn. But I think you're already light years ahead with your awareness of that and having that one call to action. You are ahead of the game.
Jen, you don't have Instagram or Facebook?
So I do. I just know that I've gotten this far in my business for like 6 years without having Facebook or Instagram. Yeah, and I'm not like looking to bite more than I can chew, right? Like I think even just one of these social media platforms is like a whole project in and of itself. And I think that the starting point would be LinkedIn.
And
What I
Jen,
like about Instagram and Facebook is that, to me, I'm not that familiar with Facebook for some reason, but with Instagram, whenever I post something, there's something that says like, if you also want to post on Facebook. So literally I use my one thing and I have it send out. So it's being posted on both just automatically.
Well, I actually would be careful of that. I'm going to give you like, and Fran, probably your triggers going off too. That's not the recommended way to do it. I know it's easier. And the reason it shows both, Megan, is because they're both owned by Meta. So they're under the same parent company. So that's why you see both of them. LinkedIn is owned by a different company than Facebook and Instagram. So that's why they're not necessarily merging the information or cross-pollinating the information. A lot of the time, the content needs to be different on Facebook and Instagram. I would say like 90% of the time. So unless you're that 10%, which you should like be sure you're that 10% where you should be having it the same. Unfortunately, it's going to take you even more time.
And to
You're
Jen's
saying
point,
don't
I can-
post the same content on both, or?
Unless there's a 10% chance, 10% of companies can post both. 90% of companies should not be doing that.
So it's character count, it's what they allow, links. So if you put a link in it and if it, because there's a lot, to Jen's point, there's a lot of these regulations. I would say this, the other thing you said before, the only caution I would give you is you have a lot of your team posting. That can get very messy very quick. So if you all use a Meta Planner is free. It's in your Facebook side of your business profile, and you can all put your posts in the Meta Planner, even if you wanted to post in an hour. You wanted to post now, but if you use the planner, it watches. It actually has this tab at the top that you can flip back and forth between the Facebook and the Instagram post to see if there's any issues, and it will tell you. Plus, then your planner that you're working with knows where these new posts are popping up, because you all want to get on the same page. And it's great that, and make sure that your team knows the do's and don'ts of what you want.
Oh, yeah. No, I tell them to post like on their own
Oh, okay. And then
yeah, not on ours.
gotcha.
Everything like, it's actually, I'm the only one that posts it.
Okay.
If they do anything, they send it to me and then I decide like what's gonna go up.
Great process. But yeah, so the Meta Planner can also help you, though. Then it would help you communicate with the person that you're working with
Yeah,
to strategically seal
that
it.
is good. I heard of businesses who have like their iPads at work and they take like different pictures and videos throughout the day. And then like they go back to that and decide like, all right, almost like as a filler type thing to be able to post multiple times a week.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what the content library is all about. Just make sure that if you're taking some on your tablet and the next day you take some on your phone, they keep going into that main folder. And you can start, if you're already doing stuff like that, you can then set up the folder. It can be whether it's by date or maybe it's by topic. This is individual client shots. This is store shots.
Oh, yeah.
This is product shots. And then you have this go-to folder within the content libraries. Can be as big or as little as you want. Some people have one picture for photos and one picture for text, and each file name tells you, they use the file name to identify and sort it. So then they could just go in and sort by file name, and it groups everything together. So it's just what you prefer in your file strategy, but all those are good. And sometimes those photos can also help you find things that need to improve or change. You might take a picture and realize, oh my gosh, that thing left out over there is actually doesn't look as appealing as if I took it out of there or moved it somewhere else. Like, it helps you keep on top of, because the environment is part of your image too, and the message you're sending.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a lot of work. It's like a lot of work.
That's
I-
we do social as a so we have social onboarding for our planner. I find that even if all this simplifying social message sends is that it's not that simple to be on social, so that we eliminate the fear of working with an agency. And because I think a lot of people hire an agency and think, what are they doing for me? Well, now that you see all the parts that go into it, you understand it's not as small or as easy as possible. But you can make it simple, and you can simplify it. That's why I call it simplifying social. Yeah, it's a powerful tool. It's one of the four cornerstones. So getting it right is important.
Mhm.
The checklist will help with that also.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
super
Well,
cool.
thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Fran. This was wonderful. We really appreciate your efforts and we'll look forward to the next one of these we put together.
Wonderful. Thanks, guys.
Bye, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.